Okay. There we go.
Hey, everybody. It's Tim here, and you are listening to Teaching Band from the Beginning. I am here with this week's guest. Let me go ahead and introduce her. Her name is Melissa Sevigny, and she's here to talk to us today about what's her plan is about getting through the new remote learning with her middle school band. She's the band teacher at North Johnston Middle School in Kenly, North Carolina. Is that right, Melissa? Kenly, Kenly, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Welcome, Melissa. Woo-woo!
Hey, nice to see you.
Oh, thanks for being on. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Well, I just got through this like death week of North Carolina. So we started out the week with a hurricane, right? And then there was tornadoes spawned off of that. And then today, did you hear about today we had an earthquake?
Yeah, it kind of woke me up this morning, actually.
Oh, it did? I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah, I was upstairs is where our bedroom is, and I was still asleep and thought Kevin was opening the garage door, and it wasn't.
Apparently, somewhere out in the mountains in North Carolina, there was like an earthquake, and we could feel it here, but I didn't feel it. But that's what I saw all over the news this morning. So, I mean, if there's a way that we could add to 2020, man, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go all out. Let's go all out. Let's have all three in the same week. Why not?
Why not?
You know, well, that's exactly right. I think we're like bulletproof now. We can take care of anything.
That's
so
right.
Before we get started, I just want to remind the listeners, please make sure to, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the podcast so that you get all of our notifications. And I have some news. The podcast is now on, you may have heard or not, we are now on YouTube. So you can listen to our podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. And you can also go to YouTube and watch us do the podcast there. It's uncut, unedited, unfiltered, so it's a fun thing. And then I did also want to mention that I thought this was cool. We had a listener earlier on from Germany, Melissa, and more recently we've had someone from Ireland listening, and I don't know who they are, so maybe if they could like reach out to us and let us know, that would be totally cool. I don't know. I just thought that was cool that someone from Ireland was listening to our little old show. So anyway, we are going to spend the rest of August trying to handle this this whole remote learning thing and wrap our heads around this for everybody, so that we can get some ideas for everybody that's listening, and see if we can all get through this remote learning together. Miss Spell, Olivia Spell,
good in the hood.
How are
How's
you?
it going?
Our co-host, as always. You know, it's funny because listeners, Olivia never goes anywhere. She's always been in the band room. I don't think her family's taken a vacation since her kids were born.
It feels like it. That's
and then in like the past 2 months, I think they've been trying to I don't know, play catch up or something.
Yeah, and we finally this week, all right, there's no band camp. We're gonna go on vacation. And then it feels like as soon as I'm on vacation, all of it hit the fan. There's work to do. Tim kept texting me, "I'm sorry to bother you.
So sorry.
And now we got home way later than I wanted to today, but that's fine. We're almost unpacked and trying to get ready for tomorrow. And Melissa's got kids, trying to put the kids in bed, get back into a routine, take a bath, read the books. So yeah. Anywho.
Well, and my kids are a little bit older, but Melissa, you kind of have a little bit
whole
of
gamut,
the best of both worlds. So I don't know. You got some kids that are off doing their own thing, but then you
driving.
Still got
that's exciting.
Yeah. We have the three. So we have one in every level of school right now. So we have a third grader, an eighth grader, and a junior this year. So yeah, I kind of spread them out. figured that would make life a little bit easier.
Because being a band teacher is not hard enough. Let's throw some children into the mix.
Oh, well, you
give ourselves a challenge. I'm not feeling challenged enough. I need to up the ante a little bit. Let's add some offspring.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get into this. We're going to dig in and see if we can help you and figure out this together because nobody knows the answers. Let's start, Melissa, with how are you going to talk to your kids? I guess, what platform are you using to communicate with your students this fall?
At North, we have been one-to-one Chromebook school probably for, 5 to 6 years, if not more. So our students are really used to using Google Classroom.
And that's awesome.
I know the county is offering, some folks to start doing Canvas, but our administration has decided that since our kids are already familiar with it, we're going to continue with Google Classroom.
Imagine that. They already know what to do. So you're not
I
going to
know.
do something new.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that you're one-to-one, like every student has a Chromebook. Every student is assigned a Chromebook. I saw a Facebook post today. It was a neighboring county, and it was a teacher that said, "Hey, don't forget to fill this." And it was a Google Doc or a Google form that was asking the parents about Wi-Fi access, and do you need Wi-Fi access? Do you need a device for your child? And I replied on there. I said, if they need Wi-Fi access, how are they filling out this Google form? Like,
my husband says that all the time.
And I know that I asked that question back in the spring, and I think some of the problem was, parents have phones or the kids have phones, but to use those as devices is maybe a little bit more difficult, or, depending on, what type of data plan or something that they have. And I know over here in this part of Johnston County, you've got places where the internet is just not good at all. We're good out here where I live, but some people live in, other nice neighborhoods, but the connection is just not there. So I think that's maybe where the concern is coming from.
Maybe so. I remember in the spring, we have 4 people live in our house, and when all 4 people are on at the same time, and my wife's a 4th grade teacher, and she's trying to have class with 20 kids. It was really hard. I mean, and we have, I don't know, I guess we have pretty fast whatever, but it really wasn't working. I could just imagine. So did your school say what, Olivia?
No, go ahead. I was just going to get Melissa to kind of elaborate on her Google Classroom usage.
Okay, let's hear about it.
All right. I love Google Classroom. Like I said, when we moved from an old building to a new building, I think it's been 5-6 years ago. And when we went into the new building, we just had access to a little bit more than what we did at the old building. So Google Classroom I use all the time. I teach both band and general music. So I've been able to use it in different ways. My band kids, that's where I post assignments. We do a lot with Flipgrid with playing tests and stuff, and different assignments. I post, videos for the kids because I try to, always show them good musicians on their instrument. So I'll post, different things like that. For my general music kids, it's great to, organize assignments because, you can create topics and everything's in one place. So that's kind of a basic way I use it.
Well, it sounds like with the kids that you already have, your rising 7th and 8th graders, that you're already kind of set up. They're already used to using an online platform, so that they're not having to navigate that on top of, everything else that's going on. Has your school set up any kind of like daily schedule or anything like that? Have you guys talked about that yet?
Yeah, we have. Now, tomorrow is the first official work day or required work day. So we haven't had, like you guys haven't had that initial meeting yet, but a couple weeks ago, we had a school improvement team meeting, and I'm the chairperson for that. And so she has created a schedule. She took the, I think it was one that was sort of a sample that was provided by the district, and she adjusted it for us. So our schedule is basically going to be where the kids go, virtually to their classes every 45 minutes. But she has built in some breaks for teachers and for students to step away from the computer for a little bit.
Sure.
She has put in there some remedial time. Normally, we're the Jaguars at my school, so we normally have something built in every day that's called JAG time, and it's an acceleration remediation time during normal school stuff. And we're still going to kind of work it that way, but it'll give kids an opportunity if they didn't understand a concept, if they need a little bit more help with something, they can, and this is the part I don't really know all the details yet, but I think they can email a teacher, and that will be a time set aside that we can help those kids. And I'm sure that's also where they're going to, tie in some of that remedial, accelerated stuff that are, to meet different needs of our different kids and stuff.
Right. So kind of like office hours, they can hit up their teacher with a question, an individual kind of like that. Yeah. So what kind of attendance, have they talked about, like an attendance requirement, or have you given your band kids one? Are you going to see your kids on the computer every day, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, we normally, and we're still going to continue with our enhancement classes doing an A-Day, B-Day. So we'll still follow an A-Day, B-Day calendar like we would during a normal school year. So, on one day
I was hoping they would get rid of that for you. Sorry about
that too. I'm still working on that. I did get away from teaching as much general music. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but my band groups, I have a new administrator. Well, last year was her first year with us, and she took some of my bigger band groups and split them, which was nice. So
good.
That's a win of some sort. But so you asked me something. I just forgot what you asked. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Wait, I was talking about, hang on, Miss Spell, you're muted. There you go. Hang on. Let me unmute you. Hang on. Hey, listeners, we're having technical difficulties. Maybe we'll edit this out. Maybe should we edit? No, I don't think we should. I think we should leave it in because it shows
raw material. It's the blooper.
No, it's normal. Yeah.
I was going to ask, the A-Day, B-Day, how does that work virtually? Well, you think they'll try to keep some kind of similar schedule, or that just blows my mind even more than I already don't understand virtual?
So what we normally do is I'll take, because I'm our team leader, so I'll take the Johnston County student calendar that they provide on the website.
Okay.
And I turn it into an A-Day, B-Day for the whole year. So, I start first day of school and I put an A, and then B, and if we have holidays or, anything like that, you don't miss an A or B. You just continue that A-Day, B-Day rotation. So that's how it will work during this virtual learning. Our principal sent some information just a little bit ago, and on, I think, Thursday, when they pass out Chromebooks to kids and other materials they're going to need, each child at our school is going to get a folder that includes, a bunch of different things, including each teacher's Google Classroom codes, so the kids can join their correct classrooms. They'll have their schedule, and somewhere in that folder will be that A-Day, B-Day calendar. So the kids will just know. And our older kids, it's not really a problem because we've been doing it for so long. 6th grade, it will be new to them, but we've got a really great team of 6th grade teachers that will help them stay on top of that. They always do a good job with that. So yeah, it's confusing, but I would rather not have it, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, sure. I guess the other older kids are used to it. I guess that's working. Are you going to meet with your kids as a full group or in some sectional time, individual stuff? How's that working for you?
Right in the spring, I chose, because to be honest, I was just so overwhelmed. Having done this for, like I said, getting ready to start year 20, there was just a lot, even knowing Google Classroom and stuff, it was a bit overwhelming. And then having, you know, a second grader of my own at home. So what I did in the spring is I continued to utilize Google Classroom because, like I said, the kids knew what to do and expect from there. But I would make pre-recorded videos for my kids. So I would choose a concept, you know, depending on the grade level, and I would go through every step of what I wanted the kids to do. So if I wanted them to do a warm-up, I would demonstrate that warm-up. If it was teaching a new concept, say like eighth notes to sixth graders, I would demonstrate. I would use, you know, I made my cute little visuals and stuff. And I did that. And then the kids just had an assignment by Friday they had to turn in.
Okay.
The participation was kind of I think it didn't help when, you know, we were all trying to figure out what to do. And then when it was kind of got out that we couldn't really grade anything and, you know, all that sort of stuff, I saw my participation drop a little bit.
And we've talked about that before too. Yeah. We saw the same exact thing. And I think this fall there's going to be a bigger accountability piece with you know, students are going to be responsible for grades and for assignments. And I think, and there's a whole lot more accountability there. So I think that's going to be a big fix. Yeah. So your main communication between your students, you know, whether you're talking to them or sending them information is Google Classroom. Let's talk about what you're going to work with your kids on. Obviously, the full ensemble setting is, I don't know, slim to none, I guess, in this situation. You know, so are we looking at scales or working in the method book, solos? What are we, what's our focus going to be on?
All summer long, as we've all sat around and said, what are they going to do? You know, in terms of, are we going to be in our classrooms? Are we not? You know, I follow a lot of Facebook groups. I have found that to be one of the best things ever. So I think I'm part of like a middle school one, a beginning band one, a general music one. And it's just great to get ideas from kind of like what y'all are doing with this podcast, you know, getting all these ideas from people in, you know, very different situations or situations that are similar. But I actually was able to talk with a couple of band directors here in our middle school band directors in the county the other day, because, you know, we're all trying to figure out what to do. Yeah. And so, you know, we kind of had the agreement that we need to make sure during this time that, number one, we keep our kids interested in band. That has been the biggest.
That's fear. Number one.
That's number one. Sure. Is keeping that love for what we've been doing, although we're so, you know, so far apart. After that, my goal is, this is a good time, since we can't really do the normal ensemble stuff, is to teach the concepts, the main concepts, especially middle school, the foundational concepts that kids need to do. So my general ideas, and I'm still working on it as I go, and I'm sure I'm going to have to tweak it, and some things are going to work well and some are not, is for seventh graders and eighth graders. And I can't take credit for this idea. I was talking with Becky Mercer, and y'all know Becky. Sure. Just wonderful ideas. Is we are going to take like our seventh grade band, for example, and start them in book one, since they never really finished sixth grade. But
you know, that's the thing that I forget is that the kids coming of what happened, they really only got like 3/4 of a year last year.
And I always
we're not starting on a normal start of the year.
Right. Because, you know, I feel like it almost, most years, it seems like with sixth grade band, beginner band, that it starts to click that fourth 9 weeks. You know.
Right. After you've had your Christmas concert, and then you come back from Christmas, and you have your refresher. We're back. We're doing our thing, and then really you kind of see that growth leading to the spring concert. So, but they didn't get that this time around.
They didn't. So what I'm going to be doing is, I normally use Essential Elements book one for my sixth graders, and so we can review concepts. I have ordered a class set, so kids don't have to buy another book. I've ordered a class set of sound innovations, which moves a little bit slower, but it's something different, rather than saying, oh, you have to go back and redo this, you know, this much of a book.
And the kids are saying, Right. We already did this. And that's kind of like maybe like a bad taste. You know, Olivia and I were talking about what we laid out for the spring, and the reason it didn't work was because the accountability piece.
Right.
But even if we try to do that again, it's already got a bad taste in its mouth. We got to try something different.
Right.
So I think that's a good strategy. Let's look at, even if it's addressing the same concepts. Let's look in a different book. Now that you're in 7th grade, you've moved up, you know, to the next level book. So I think I like that. Yep. I like that very much.
And it, you know, so many of our method books have online resources, and so we're going to make use of some of those. So where each child will have a book, even if it stays at school with me, you know, they can have that code at that activation code, like so many of the method books use, to go online and practice with practice tracks. Because in the spring, I was creating a lot of my own stuff. I was doing some stuff in Note Flight, and, you know, just whatever I could do to try and keep them learning. But it was so time consuming. And so I'm trying to work a little smarter rather than harder. So I'm looking at doing that with both 7th and 8th grade. Now, 8th grade, I will choose a book 2 of a different, you know, something other than the essential elements, but just the same concept to review. With my 7th and 8th graders, we're going to add scales to, you know, we're still working on scales.
Yep.
I use, like I said, Note Flight to create play along tracks for them. And I'm also looking at doing some sort of like badge system for scales. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, but just something to increase the motivation.
The motivation, because they're sitting in front of their computer screen all the time.
Right.
You know, I always think of it like the difference between, like, I love baseball, but watching baseball on TV can be hard. But when you compare watching baseball on TV to actually being at the game in the stadium, there's no comparison. It's the completely different experience. And I think it's the same thing with band. If they're not in the band room, they're at their house, their dog's barking, they're trying to listen to the lesson with you. It's just not the same thing. So whatever we can do to get that motivation piece in there.
Well, I think she's muted again.
She's muted again. What is she doing?
Anywho,
why do you keep muting yourself?
Sidebar. I don't know. Sidebar. Have you watched a baseball game recently, though?
It's
oh my God! With the cardboard cutouts in the stands.
Check it. With the announcement the other day that we can't record our Google Meets, which is the whole conversation that we have to have tomorrow, Tim, I think we're gonna have to get some cardboard cutouts of our kids and put them in the band room.
Absolutely. Well, that was in another county, but I'm sure that it's probably on its way with I don't know how. We're going to have to see how that is, because they were talking about, well, what if a student can't be there to watch the live session? Well, you can record it so that they, you know, like, what if the student is legitimately absent? You know, they're sick.
Well, now we can't record them.
Well, you know,
there was an email sent out. We can't do it, Tim.
Lord,
I'm so upset. Anywho, I think there's an answer, but we'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right. Well, who knows, right? But yeah, Melissa, the badge system, or some kind of incentive system.
Yeah. So talk to me more about the badge system. Like, what are you thinking there? Because I'm trying to think, you know, usually band kids tend to be, I mean, they're competitively driven. Let's be honest, whether it be all county or all district, or for high school marching band, for middle school, you know, people do the karate thing, or the belts, or the stickers, or band kids tend to be competitively driven. So the badges, talk to me about that, because I'm intrigued.
Well, what I've done in the past couple years, and I've not ironed out all the kinks yet, but I've been doing the band karate thing. So I took really our curriculum and what we want band kids to know by like the end of 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. And I divided them up into belts. And I just kind of stuck with the karate thing, which I know a lot of folks have done both with band and with recorder in elementary school. And I pulled out the things I thought were the most important. And so that would include, our scales. And I would start off with the ones that are expected to know for all county and then all district. But even with the beginners, they might play it for me in whole notes or quarter notes first before we move on. And what I was doing when we were in school is I had bought zip ties from Amazon. You can buy the different colored zip ties. And when they would earn a belt, they would put it around the handle of their case. Just this itty bitty little zip ties. The problem I've been having the past couple of years, again, I think I don't see them enough with the 8A, B-Day. I couldn't ever get them through the belts like I wanted to. So I'm considering this year dividing that up a little bit and having some band karate, but then separating scales into something separate. I've seen, different people doing research. I found people doing something called like Scale Wars, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and my kids know that, and a lot of them are too. I think it's important to find things that they're interested in. And so I think I'm going to separate those out. Now, what to do with giving them the badges or the belt?
Right. So, all right, listeners, we need some help out there.
Well, I have in the past couple of days seen some stuff where people do like a virtual badge page. So,
right.
And I wished I remembered the person's name. It's on Teachers Pay Teachers. I wish I remembered.
Everybody go check out Teachers Pay Teachers and find badges. It and let us know.
But the way it works is it's like a Google Doc that already has like almost like the outline of the badges they'll earn. They put it into Google Classroom. You make a copy for each kid, and then just as they mark off the different badges, you go in and you put the clip art that fits underneath the correct spot. So I think that would be a good solution. And I'm hoping by splitting the scales away from some of the other concepts, because I would also throw in there some music theory stuff. So there were written assignments to test like note names and counting rhythms and all that stuff. But I'm hoping by separating them, we can move a little bit faster. Again, with this virtual learning, who knows? But
But I also think the scales is such an important concept that separating it and having it be its own, letting scales have their own identity lends itself to stressing the importance of scales to the kids, for sure.
The biggest thing I like about the badges or the belts or whatever system, you choose to use is mine is always, they always have the opportunity to redo something.
Preach.
Preach
it, sister.
I use different rubrics to grade different things. And usually, I set up where if they don't make an 80% or higher or an 85, they have to redo it. But they can always choose, to do better. So you reach your kids that need those couple extra time. But you also, perfectionists, if they get a 95, for some of them, the world's going to end. They have the opportunity to retest, because I think if they don't pass it, they don't know it. You shouldn't pass them on to the next thing. So
correct. 100%. I am a 100% huge, gigantic advocate for allowing students to replay a quiz. I have found that when I taught middle school, it was just a gigantic incentive to go home and practice. And like you said, if they don't get the concept, it's hard to move on. And we've talked about this before on the podcast, Olivia. It's called Teaching to Mastery. And again, I keep bringing up the Facebook. Is that an old person thing now? Is Facebook an old person thing now?
My children say yes.
Is that what the kids say?
I think so.
The children are too into Snapchat and
TikTok,
and TikTok.
So I saw a thing that said that someone talked about, I let my kids retake stuff, and someone commented and they said, I'm in welding school And when I'm taking a test on a particular type of weld, and I'm doing it wrong, I've made a mistake, the instructor's not going to come by, give me a score and move on. He's going to come by and say, that's wrong. Go get your grinder, fix it, start over, do it correctly. Now let's talk about what we did wrong, and let's talk about how to fix it and what techniques, etc. But we're going to keep doing it until we're doing it right. And that's real world. For people to say, letting them take the quiz again, that's not realistic. Well, I 100% disagree. It is realistic. And we talked about this analogy before. When you go to take your test at the DMV, if you fail it, you get to come back and take it again. And you just keep until you keep improving until you are able to pass it. So I'm glad you brought that up. I am a super gigantic, huge advocate for allowing students to take it again. Now, I also have kids that they play it and I'm like, no, it's not better. And they run away and like 3 minutes come back. Okay, can I try it now? It's like, no, bro, you need to let it, you need to let it simmer. You need to go home and you need to sleep on it at least. Right.
Yeah,
right.
I've used to combat that, I've used where either I've set a limit, you can only do it that one day, or I've even done like a retest reflection form.
Sure.
Ooh, I like that.
They have to, and again, all of these ideas, most of these I've stolen from somebody else, but
well, that's the whole teaching profession.
Yeah.
Let's be
we're a bunch
honest.
of thieves. But just ask in a Google form, again, that they would find in Google Classroom, which again, I love how everything's in one place, but they would just have to answer a few questions because I want them to understand why they need to retake it. So that they know the things to fix, and then they can take
right. So asking them questions like, okay, what did you work on in between quizzes, and after the first time you took it, before the next time you took it, what are you having to work on? What did you need to fix, and how do you fix it, etc. Yeah, I like that very much. So I really think that I like the way you're looking at your it looks like it's going to be a semester. I was going to say grading period, but it probably looks like it's going to be a semester. Fingers crossed.
That's right.
At the system that you're using, how you're communicating with your students, what they're working on, and like we talked about before, this is not a normal year. They're not starting in the same spot that they usually start at. The delivery system is so very different. With all that in mind, what kind of goals are we looking at for our 7th and 8th graders? Grading period goals, semester goals. I know goal number 1 is
keep them in band.
Keep them in band. Right.
I've not, like I said, we've not done any formal meetings until tomorrow, but our students' names, class rosters are in Power School and stuff. And my 6th grade numbers, my beginners is much lower. It's about half of what it usually is. And,
wow,
I was really disappointed about that because, as band directors, we take everything personally. We think we did or didn't do. And, after talking to some different people, I'm finding that's the case everywhere, because I think some of our families, especially depending on what area you live in, they might not have the money to rent an instrument. And I have some school-owned instruments and things. So I think that has had an impact on the numbers. Also, we left school about 2 or 3 weeks before I was going to do my big recruiting concert.
Oh, yeah.
We have 3 elementary schools that feed into our middle school. And so what the plan was this year was supposed to be bringing each school on a different day. Band and chorus was going to perform for them. I'd get up there and do my whole spiel. I always get some of the band kids to talk about why those kids should be part of the band. And, that was all cut out from under us. So my principal's awesome. She has said we're going to do our virtual orientation. And if I can, get a few more, She's very willing
Keep them coming.
to do that. She said even, next year, if, and hopefully, we're back to normal, we might do a beginner 7th grade band next year to make up for that. But so goals, the older kids, like you said, the biggest thing is we want them to keep interest in band. And looking at my class list, I've kept almost all of my 7th and 8th graders, which is amazing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
That might change a little bit in the coming week.
Right.
I feel like I'm in a really good spot. So the biggest goal is to keep them interested, to let them understand this is not normal. And, so goals is just, like I said, working on those foundation skills. I think this is going to be a time when we can really maybe focus on that more than we normally do, because I don't anticipate doing any concerts unless I can figure out this this technology thing. And from everything I've seen and read, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, the whole virtual band thing.
Hot spot to Ben Hilton and his music company. He has a middle school and a high school program that he will send you all of the fundamentals, all of the music. You record it, send it back. They do the audio, $300. The link is in our last podcast, but we'll type it in. It's an amazing deal. I've talked to him, and like you said, Melissa, everything I've seen is it's so much work. It's this and that, But shout out to him. I'll send you that info.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
So
Melissa, what else? Tell us anything else that you need to tell us about your semester coming up and not drowning.
I'm doggy paddling, I feel like already, and we haven't. I want to maintain those relationships with kids. I think band kids, I tell my band kids every year, my new ones and my old ones, we're a family. And I had just one of last year's 8th graders just today. There was some issue with her high school band schedule. And she's like, I need your help. And I'm like, I'm going to have to you, but just that she knew I was someone she could turn to.
She trusted you enough. Right. Absolutely.
So I think that, I want the kids to keep making music, but I just think it's important that we maintain those relationships. We know how special band is. And, so I want to teach them some things, I'm going to try to find ways for us to play and, looking for some duets and trios for the older kids.
Oh yeah.
I'm even thinking, Olivia, you were talking about the whole ensemble thing and how difficult that can be to record, but maybe experimenting with my kids. I recently did some training with project-based learning that was really interesting. And, maybe taking some of the 8th graders or even some of the higher achieving 7th graders and seeing if we can figure out how to create some of these small videos just of 2 or 3 kids and kind of give them some of the ownership. And just, I think as long as we're honest with the kids that we're all learning as we do this, that it's going to be okay. It's not great, but it's going to be okay.
I think that's a really, really good point.
I do too.
Us as teachers, I took some AP music theory training last week, and this older professor from a college was kind of struggling with technology, and I found myself frustrated at times. I'm taking this class, I'm expecting it to be him to know what to do, but there were several times within each day that somebody would chime in, hey, click this button, hey, do that. And he was honest with us, and then I was like, that's right, we're all in this together. Yes, we know how to click the buttons and schedule the meetings, but I don't know how to record on Zoom. I don't know how to take attendance on Zoom. And so I think, like you said, just be honest with the kids. Hey, this isn't perfect, and we're here with you. It won't be like this forever, and
we're gonna figure this out together.
Yeah, and like you said, that'll continue building that relationship even through a screen. I think that's a really good point.
And I think you're going to find that the kids are going to be able to help us sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when my 8-year-old can do, find things on YouTube and, build things on Minecraft and stuff. And I mean, she's 8, so I think the kids we've got to give them some ownership in this too.
Agreed. Completely. And I I think they'll be starving for that just because
Mhm.
they need that busy time too. And especially for middle schoolers, oh, Miss Sevigny asked me to help with this
Uh-huh.
project, and it
Right.
not only gives them ownership, but it gives them pride and a
Mhm.
place in the program for sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's a super great outlook. I'm glad that we hit on that too, because
Oh.
that's important. That's really important.
Mhm.
So, before we wrap things up, I have a story I need to tell. And I don't know if
Oh,
I've
here we
told
go.
I don't know if I've told Melissa this story, but actually, Olivia, I don't know if did you know that Melissa and I both went to West Virginia University.
Go
I
Did you
here.
know
think I knew that.
that? And so what all right, now I need to because it's been a while since we talked about this. When did you well, okay, I graduated in 97. When did you come to West Virginia?
I started in 97,
Okay, so we had
Oh.
we
freshman year.
were
Fall
we
of
were both we were both there together for a year.
No.
Yeah.
And
No,
and
No.
I started in
You
fall.
graduated in the spring of 97 and she
Mhm.
started in the fall of 97. So you
but how do I
just
know
missed
you
each
then?
other.
Oh, I know what it is. Your husband, Kevin,
Right.
when did he start at West Virginia?
He started in fall of 96.
Oh, see,
Oh.
there it is. There's the connection. There's the
Uh-huh.
connection. Okay, well, here's my story. There
Hey,
was
Mr.
and
Basil's, we won't talk about what year that was for Mr. Basil.
it was a last century, literally. Hey, you started talking about the recorder karate, and
Yes.
it reminded me of a story that your reaction. I think you might hear. We had a written theory professor, Professor Crotty, 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 and everyone just called him Crotty, right? If you were talking about him, hey, have
Mhm.
you seen karate? Are you taking karate's class? Are you taking karate? No, I took karate last semester. And when I was first there, I was listening to all these people saying this, and I was like, and I went and asked somebody, I was like, why do all the music majors take karate? And and I was like, is that like the PE? Is that like the music ed PE? All the music ed, there's like a gym requirement and everyone takes karate. That's actually kind of pretty cool. And someone was like, what are you talking about? It's not karate, it's karate. And they like wrote it from it. I was like, oh, now I understand that it's karate. Well, we all had Professor Karate,
Mhm.
and he was one of those professors that um the time that you had in the class was not the funnest. But everybody signed up for his class because you knew that when you left that freshman theory class that you knew your stuff,
That's right.
because he was going to make sure that you knew your stuff. And that just reminded me when you started talking about recorder karate, and I thought we were talking about like the class karate, and then for a second I was like, why? That's a funny name for a professor to have karate. But it all turned out to all be wrong. I was all completely totally wrong.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The good old days. Well, Melissa, we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your ideas with us. I think that we went over some really good
Yes,
stuff.
thank you.
Really
Thank
gonna
you.
help
Thank you
some
for
people
having me.
out there. Absolutely, 100%. I just want to remind everybody to please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so that you get all the notifications on new episodes. Please check out our Facebook page. There's always some goodies in there. And as we mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, our brand new YouTube page. Go watch us
Whoop, whoop,
on video,
whoop.
uncut, unedited, unfiltered, baby. Go check it out. I know. See, aren't you glad you did your hair, Miss Spell? You didn't know.
I
Okay.
always do my hair and at least put
You
on a nice
do.
shirt. We won't
A
talk
nice
about the bottom
shirt,
half, but
and then I'm over here with this. I'm not going to talk about what's behind the curtain that's behind me, y'all.
ignore the man
That'll
behind
be
the
a
curtain.
behind the scenes extra bonus video. So
All
again,
right.
Melissa, thank you so very much,
Thank
and
you.
we will be in touch with you about those other resources, as I'm sure that you'll be in touch with us. So thank you so very much. And to our listeners,
and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Please contact us, email, leave a voice recording, and let us know what we need to know. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time on Teaching Band from the Beginning.
Bye.